Hi there, this is Forest Mommy Jessica Fensky. Today I have on Robert Sansone, who's out here in Colorado and has decided he wants to throw his hat in the ring for the LP presidential nomination. Hi, Rob.
Hi, glad
How
to
are
be
you
here.
doing?
I'm good.
Did you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit, like where you live and
Sure.
kind of what you're thinking?
So quick background. I'm married to my wife. Next week it'll be 18 years. I have two boys, Sage and Finley. Sage is 15, Finley's 12. I'm a veteran. I served 9 years active duty in the Air Force, working on building aircraft and satellite systems. After I got out of the Air Force, I kept building satellites. So that's currently what I do now. I work on building satellite systems.
Are you like civilian?
I am a contractor, so
Yeah.
civilian. Yeah, I support the Space Force now, but I am a civilian. Yeah.
Do you work at the Space Command or whatever that they're
No, I
I
actually I
don't even know what it is.
well, I think it is Space Command now, but um, I work for a small company, but I sit at Lockheed Martin in Waterton, Colorado, um,
Okay.
and so I help monitor the building of some of our infrared satellites that we build. So
Very cool. And I know you live in Castle Rock, which that's convenient drive to your work then.
yeah,
And
yeah.
are you from Colorado originally, or what's
No,
your
I,
story?
I actually I grew up in the Air Force. My dad spent his entire life pretty much in the Air Force, 27 years active duty, and then another 14 years teaching junior ROTC in high school. Uh, and so he did that until 2013, and then 2 years later he passed away. So he gave his life to the country basically,
Okay. And you followed the footsteps.
and
He was
I
Air Force
followed
too, you
him.
say?
Hmm?
He was Air Force as well, you
Yeah,
said?
he was Air Force as well. Yeah, he was a maintenance officer. So we, fortunately or unfortunately, we got to travel around the world. I've lived in, not including the U.S., three other countries. So that was an adventure for sure.
Yeah, I bet. So and then how did you end up in Colorado? Was it for the job or?
Well, the last place we lived was in Southern California. My kids were in kindergarten, or getting ready to start kindergarten, and getting ready to start third grade, and we just weren't happy with their environment that they were in, that they were growing up in, and it was starting to get worse and worse there as far as like homelessness and all of that other stuff. And we were looking for a change, and I like the mountains. I've always liked the mountains, and my wife used to do summer camp here when she was a kid, so she really liked Colorado, and so we're like, well, let's move to Colorado, and it just so happened a job opened up right when I was looking for it, so it worked out really really well. So we've been here for going on 8 years now, and
8 years, you said?
yeah, and we love it here.
Yeah, where you're at, especially. I told you before, I grew up in Larkspur, went to high school in Castle
Right.
Rock, and all that. So I am biased. I mean, the area has changed a lot since 1990, but it's like
I'm sure it
you still
has.
can't beat
It's
it.
changed a lot just since I've been here. So
Yeah, and that's like I do appreciate the town, and Douglas County especially is like as far as libertarian ideas, which we'll get into, but like Douglas County for the most part has done a pretty good job of kind of decentralizing. You were here during COVID, obviously, so they
right.
left the Tri-County Health and all that. And I was talking to one of the commissioners, and they're like, yeah, we already saved like $5 million. And it's just like
Yeah.
it's kind of cool how they did that, and the school district kind of like tried to fight their own battles and stuff. So it is a good area for that's where I'm from, like I said. So I think there's something down there that
Yeah. Something in the water down here.
Yeah, something in the water. So to the well water, because I was lucky enough to grow up on well water out there. So yeah, so I was going to ask you what brings you to the libertarian, like what's brought you to libertarian thinking and ideas, and have you always been that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because somebody asked me that not too long ago, and I kind of struggled with the answer because I hadn't really thought about what brought me in here, but I think I've always really been, of that philosophy. I remember when I was in high school, I read Atlas Shrugged, and I thought it was an awesome book. But then I never really thought about it after that until probably about 15 years ago. I was living in California, and I just I knew I didn't fit with the Democrats for sure, and I didn't feel like I really belonged to the Republicans either. And so I was like, well, what is there? And so I started doing some research. I knew about Rand Paul, but or Ron Paul, excuse me, but I didn't put everything together until I started like doing some research, and and I came across the Libertarian Party, and I was like, wow, that sounds about right. Let people live their lives, and let government interfere as little as possible, and so I started doing more and more research about it. There was an organization I used to be on Facebook all the time, and there was a FEE. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I used to get their Facebook posts all the time and read their articles, and that kind of drew me more and more into the party. And then when I finally moved out to Colorado, I just registered as a libertarian when I got here. So I've
Thank you.
been
That
officially
helps
a
boost our
libertarian for,
numbers. That boosts our
yeah,
numbers.
yeah. So officially a libertarian for 8 years now.
Very good. Yeah, I'm kind of like when I think back, like I wasn't super politically involved. I thought I was like on the left, but then like I look back and I'm like, no, I've always just you do kind. It's kind of there's something innate to it a little bit. Like I set off on my own super young, and like I was just like I got to do this myself. Like there's something in a lot of us where I feel like it's just there, and you think
Right.
back and like, oh, I see it. I did it then. And then yeah, and then COVID obviously really lit a fire under me.
Yeah.
So
Well, my degree is in math, so I have a very logical brain, and it just it just makes sense. It's a very logical path to follow. Live your life, do your thing, and as long as you're not hurting somebody else, nobody needs to intervene and you know do anything about you. Just let you be.
yeah,
So
it seems hard for some people to get that too. It's like, okay, you have to think you can still be emotional and think things that way, but like as long as you think the logical answer first and then like go
right,
from there and go like you can be emotional, but if you want the government to force someone to do something, then like
yeah,
no, it's
yeah.
not gonna be allowed.
Yeah, there should be very few situations where government should actually have to intervene,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Like all of us, I feel like a lot of us are like, because the logical conclusion is kind of anarchy, but we're all like, if there has to be a government, then there
Right,
will be.
and I mean, I don't. To me, anarchy isn't as logical as
A
having
little
some
bit.
form of government, and I think that's when our country was founded and the Constitution was written, that was like one of the things that they were struggling with the most is how to balance the freedom of the individual with having some sort of structure. And I mean, I think they did a pretty damn good job, but we've I think we've gotten away from what their original intent was.
Yeah, that's the sad part. It's like it's actually a great piece of like literature and everything, but it's like it in the end has it done what it was supposed to do completely? Like, but
Right,
that's
and
why
I
we're
want to get
fighting now, right?
yeah, and I want to try and get back to what that original intent was. Let people have their individual rights, and where they cross the line, then government intercedes. Basically,
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
It seems pretty simple, but
I know, right?
so what made you decide to run this for this coming up for 24?
Well, it's interesting because I've never been very. I mean, I've always voted, but that's about the extent of my political, action. I've been focused, over the last 15, 18 years on my family. Taking care of my wife and my job and my kids and my dogs. Um, and I just never really was interested in it. But over the last 5 years, probably, I've been just getting more and more, um, probably angry is the word, about where our country is going. I mean, we have two people that the last two presidents have divided our country more than anyone could ever have imagined that it would be divided. And I don't see that getting any better if either one of them win. And I know I'm ready for a third party candidate, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the country is. The last poll I saw said that over 50% of the population would consider a third party this election. So with that, I think it's really important for somebody to run for president that can relate to regular people. And I'm not a career politician. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I didn't go to Harvard, and I wasn't president of the Harvard Debate Club. I'm just a regular American. And I think that's what this country needs right now, to lead them. And, I think, like what you've done and other people, that have taken over the media, I kind of want to do the same thing with politics. You know, we have the mainstream media is dying because of people like you that have gotten out there and become citizen journalists and that sort of thing. And I think it's time for us to do the same thing in the world of politics.
Yeah, not be like it really is now. The media and the government are just that's one thing they like to claim, like,
Yeah,
oh, we would never nationalize it, we would never. And I'm like, well, it's basically the same thing right now.
yeah,
So and
absolutely.
Pfizer controls it all. It's just all insidious how it all works. And the more you find out, the more it's just like, how do we dig our way out of this? But luckily, their viewership is down on. I mean, on everybody, Fox, everybody. So
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah,
Somebody could.
and I think ultimately it will completely die. I think there will be very few people, that will, nobody's subscribing to, cable TV anymore anyway. And certainly not very many people have over the air, TV. So, it's on, if you're getting your news, you're getting it online. And, I'm pretty sure it's up to like 60% of people in this country get the majority of their information on either YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of the social media apps. That's where people are getting their information now. So,
Yeah, and it was like, I know during COVID, I never watched the news really anyways, but during COVID, I was just on Twitter the whole time and I found all the information. Like they said it was obviously misinformation, right? Or like there was so much censorship going on, but it's like I never needed I could see how these people got so like in a trance almost because they were the way they were watching the TV. But I'm like, if you have to look for your own information and like you kind of have to be snapped out of things a little bit, right? And
right.
so yeah, it's almost like we need that more for people. We need to teach people to like stop watching CNN and Fox and stuff and like go seek it out a little bit or put some work into it before they do what they're gonna do and get emotional and run with it and
Yeah,
all that stuff. Like
exactly.
you said, with Trump, like I remember seeing all that because I'm not on Facebook any longer, but I remember that and during that election, just like seeing everything just go from like normal. I won't say decent. No, online's never been decent, right? But like,
Right.
it
It
went such a
devolved into some really nasty stuff.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you really saw the like the brain not brainwashing, but whatever you want to call it, like where people really were being lied to,
Yep.
all this and that, and all this like sensationalized, and it was just like remember seeing it because I just like saw that, and that was like one of my. I don't know if you've heard the term red pill. That was kind of a
Oh
red
yeah.
pill moment. Yeah, when you're just like,
Well, I
wait a
actually saw the
minute.
movie in the theater, so that tells you how
Okay.
old I am. But
Okay.
so I'm familiar with the term.
Yeah, so it's just like it was wild how that happened. Um, so have you checked out the other competition for running for president
Um,
for LP?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of on the same. Uh, that everybody kind of believes the same thing for the most part, and their platforms are all pretty similar. Um, One of the things that I think differentiates me from the others is I believe I can win. Um, I think most of and I don't know each of them at all, but uh, from what I've seen, most of them are hoping to get 5%. That's what they want. That's what they're hoping for their, campaign. They want to get 5% of the vote. I want to get over 30% of the vote. I want to actually win the election, and I think we can do it if we believe we can do it, and if we do what the other parties have done and get out and go actually campaign and make the effort to win. And that's what I plan to do.
Yeah, and I mean the national party basically that's all it really needs to focus on is like it really could be a big focus thing on because that's like really all they need to worry about is the presidential stuff. So
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
we're good. We'll be good.
So, but I,
Um,
I mean, I really think we can do it. I wouldn't, I wouldn't do this if I didn't actually think I could win. And I don't know what it is that makes me think that. I don't think I'm a crazy person. Um, but
you're a libertarian. We can't get away from that. I'm just kidding.
but I mean, there's just something poking me in the back saying that you can do this, and I think I can. I think with the right support and getting in front of the right people and talking to the right people, starting with you, that's how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I already had, I don't know if you know Larry Sharp. I told him that, oh, we have another candidate out. He likes to interview all the candidates. And I
Oh,
know we had some other people we were telling too. So yeah, this is just like a nice little introduction for
yeah,
you.
this is my campaign announcement
There
right
you
here.
go. Very good.
So
Is
when I
there
get
any,
the
is,
nomination, I'll come back and we can talk
okay,
again.
awesome. Thank you. Is there any, um, issues like you want a specific you're really like thinking about specifically, or is it all just kind of too much right now? Like,
Well, no, I mean one of and so like I said, I have kind of a logical brain. So I believe in what the Libertarian Party stands for, but I'm I'm not going to go out and say I'm going to end the Fed. While that I think that would be a fantastic thing, the president's not going to do that, even if he wants to. It's an act of it would require an act of Congress, and maybe if I did get elected, there would be enough momentum to do that. But like what I could do is I could nominate to the Fed, to the board as the chairman, somebody that believes the way we do. So maybe not that he would do it, but maybe Ron Paul would become the chairman of the Fed, and he could tear it apart from the inside out. But that is something that the president can do. You can nominate people to the board, and if we pick the right people, we could at least minimize the damage that it does. So that would be one thing that I would do, and the way I would do it differently than some of the other candidates who just want to say end it. because in reality, no matter how badly you want to end it, the president can't do it by himself. So that's one thing. Another thing that I've thought about is, downsizing the size of government. Obviously, our government has become just overwhelmingly huge. Um, but what I would do different than what a lot of other people say they would do. Everybody says they're going to, end all these different agencies, and from day one they'll cease to exist. And in reality, that's not going to happen either. But what I can do from day one is I can freeze all hiring. So the president does have that authority to freeze all hiring. And so over a year, that's 6% of the population of the government is gone due to attrition, either retirement or people just leaving. And once people see that, I think that number would actually go up, because a lot of people that take government jobs, and I know because I've known many of them over my life, they're just taking a paycheck. They go in, they sit at their desk, and they collect their paycheck, and that's about all they do. And so I think a lot of those people would probably take off as well, and increase that number to more than 6%. So those are a couple of my ideas. I mean, there's the biggest thing I think that the president is able to do is to establish a national dialogue on different subjects like police reform. I can't, as a president, I can't really change, the way policing is done. Perhaps I can affect federal police officers in the way we do business, like what's the word? Asset forfeiture. I can say the FBI will no longer do that, and I would do that, absolutely. So that's, I think I can reform that sort of thing. But the biggest impact I would have on subjects like that is, setting the tone and creating a dialogue, and helping states and local governments to change the way they do their policing.
Yeah, that's always a big issue, and it's hard to talk about that with a lot of people sometimes, but it's important. And even
Yeah,
I found people from from a fiscal standpoint, a city shouldn't be paying out all these settlements and whatnot. Like we need to figure that out.
absolutely. Well, and I think one thing that would be huge in helping with that is, I think all police officers should have to do an hour of therapy every week, because they're under so much
That.
stress,
Oh, are
and
you
a
still
lot of
there,
them,
Lash?
especially in dangerous neighborhoods, they're worried if they're going to come home, at night. So they should be talking to somebody about that, so they can get rid of the emotions that they're dealing with. And I don't think anybody even talks about that kind of stuff. So
No,
I
it's
think
true.
that's really important.
It is true, and I know they've said like the training, it's changed over the years, and they're more like afraid of them like themselves than they used to be. Like so. Yeah, that would definitely be a great idea,
Yeah.
something like that, and to help and to keep track of them more, just to make sure like if somebody's about to do something terrible, or like okay, maybe he needs a week break or
Yeah,
whatever, because
exactly.
they put them in they start the cops out. You start at the worst position, the worst hours, the worst pay, obviously. So
Right.
then, like, you're put through the ringer with that, and you're dealing with the worst people of society, which
Yeah.
is like, I mean, you're not all day, every day, but you're typically that's your job, is working with the
I
worst
mean,
people.
maybe the solution to that would be switching it around. So you start with the best jobs and the best hours, kind of work your way
Yeah,
up to
maybe.
the hard stuff.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, they lose so many people right away who
Yeah,
maybe would have been good, but like, who would want to do that? Like
right.
who? So no, those are great ideas. So we'll finish up with this question: what would set you apart from the other candidates, potential candidates?
Well, like I said, I think one of the things that sets me apart is I actually think I can win. I don't think any of the candidates I've seen that are already out there actually think they can win. So that's to me, that's the biggest. Um, I'm not a career politician, so I've never run for office before. So I think that's a little different. I'm not a party hack. I'm not saying anybody is a party hack, but I mean, some people might say some are, but uh, I'm just a regular American, and I think that's what people are craving right now is somebody that you know pays a mortgage, has kids in schools, is living a normal American life and is seeing their grocery bill go up by $200 a month or more, depending on where and how often you shop. But and gas prices going crazy. I mean, now they're over $4 again here in Colorado. So, I think people are craving reality and what's out there right now with Joe Biden, who doesn't even know where he is, and Donald Trump, who's running a campaign of revenge. Um, there's nobody worth voting for, and I think I can bridge that gap, and I think I can actually bring people back together again. So that's me.
Very good. I like it. Do you want to say your name one more time for everybody?
Sure. My name is Rob Sansone or Robert Sansone, either way. My campaign website hopefully will be up in the next week or so. Hopefully this week, maybe not, but we're working on it. So as soon as I get that, I will. I'll shoot you an email
Yeah, I
and
can add it into the
add it in.
descriptions and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
So
Well,
that's it.
it was really good. It was good to meet you. I met
You
you in
too.
person. That was like last week or 2 weeks ago, but it was
Right.
nice to meet you, and it's good to see you out and about. And I recommend coming to all the affiliate meetings because we're all pretty cool. So
Absolutely. I will do
yeah.
that. Yeah,
So
I plan
thanks.
to go to as many meetings wherever I can go. So
Yeah, that's kind of what I ended up doing even before I decided to run for my race. I just started going to everything because I was
yeah,
like, especially about all the COVID stuff and like these, I've made friends with all these people over the last. So I'm like, all right, I need to get more involved and actually start going. And now I'm hooked. I love it. We had a great meeting last night for Arapahoe County. Like I think we had 15 people there, which is like that's huge for us. So
yeah,
we're like, yay. So all right, well, thanks for coming on, and it's pre-recorded, obviously, for the people watching, and I will upload it. I'll do some editing and upload it to Rumble and YouTube.
awesome.
So thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.